Welcome to Beyond the Headlines on the WMBD Plus app, where we break down today's local news stories with our very own reporters. I'm Brianna Rittman.
And I'm Cameron Main. First, the transit bill has been revealed, and there is already opposition from the governor. Then we have a verdict in the Sean Grayson trial happening here in Peoria.
And lastly, Peoria schools are receiving more funding, but some educators say it's still not enough, and we'll tell you why. Now, our first story of the day, a topic Cameron has been following all day long, they say. Now, the taxes used to fund the Illinois transit bill have been revealed, and it's already been shot down by Governor J.B. Pritzker. So, Cameron, what's the bill looking like?
So I want to correct that. I've been following this for ages now.
Okay,
we have been wanting to get this transit bill. Originally, it was just for Chicago Transit.
Okay.
Now it is all across the state. And so I think that's an important distinction because some of you may know, attentive listeners, there was a proposed $1.50 delivery tax on all non-grocery and non-medical goods. That is dead. That is not happening. That is not happening at all. That is confirmed dead. We've kind of known behind the scenes it was, but now it's not happening. Here are some of the new taxes.
Okay.
And it's a bit, let's see your reaction to it. So one of them, and probably maybe the most...
And they put the camera on me. Okay,
yeah,
go ahead.
one of the most controversial ones probably is a 7% tax called an entertainment tax.
Okay.
So it is a 7% tax on Netflix, Hulu, places like that, but then also on live events. And
Wow.
on those live events, what is considered large events, they will add an additional $5 surcharge on that event. And so what we kind of heard from some of the lawmakers is that this would be a ticket that the $5 surcharge, you could use that ticket you bought to use the RTA, CTA to move through Chicago. The question is there a large event in Peoria? Can you use the CityLink, or can you use Connect Transit in Bloomington if there's a large event in quotation marks there? Other taxes include, so that's only part of the taxes.
Okay.
The other taxes include more speed cameras in the Chicago and Collier County area.
Okay.
And basically those generate money by catching more people speeding, finding more tickets, and then that ticket money goes to fund transit. Then there is some broad sales tax increases in Chicago. I'm not sure of the exact number, but it would make Chicago one of the highest places in the U.S. for sales tax. And then the other one is, I'm trying to remember it. It was an unrealized asset tax on unrealized asset gains from billionaires, like stock investments. So that was kind of the one that kind of caught the from Governor J.B. Pritzker. He is someone that heard this and was, it's hard to put an emotion to it. I don't want to put an emotion on him.
Okay.
But he did say, as it is now, it is not moving forward.
Did he go into further details to why he shut it down?
Yeah, and it was mainly that billionaires tax is what it's been really called now. That tax on those unrealized gains. He basically said, we don't know, no one's ever done this before. No one in the state, in any other state, or even the federal government has even tried to do this. So he's confused of how they would even collect that amount of money. How would they collect that? How would they find those funds? It is worth noting he is also a billionaire.
Right.
But that is where his opposition with the bill is how do you actually collect that money? And I think that's the big idea. And there are a bunch of other things. And mind you, in the state of the state, because it was a very tight budget year, he was like, we need to tighten our belts. We need to cut some programs and stuff like that. But he was going to veto any broad-based tax increase. And the Chicago sales tax slight increase might be that. It's hard to generate revenue because you've got to fund transit.
Yeah.
But no one's going to be happy having to pay more.
Right. Now, how does this impact us here downstate?
Well, I'm glad you asked. Mayor Rita Ali, before we knew what the funding mechanism was, is a huge supporter of this bill because what it would do, it would reduce the amount that municipalities have to match state dollars for Illinois Department of Transportation investments. So right now it's at 35%, it will drop to 20%. Now downstate transit agencies, right now from the tax revenues that have been proposed, they allegedly would raise $2 billion. And out of that $2 billion, $220 million will go to downstate transit agencies. And so that could help fund, for example, to visualize it, it could add an extra bus route or two on the CityLink. You know, these are big money. That's a lot of money because remember the Peoria city budget that was approved yesterday. 301 million. So you know, municipalities, they're nowhere near as big as what the state can give out money-wise. And Ritter Ali, the mayor, she really supports it because she says it could really help them get that Peoria to Chicago train line, because step 2 is, they're currently in step 1, the scoping phase of it. They're finishing that up. They're going into step 2. And she was telling me step 3 could be one of the more expensive ones. And step 3 out of 4, to be clear. But step 3 could be a very expensive expensive step of the process. And this could really help them actually have that money to push them forward and get a train from Peoria to Chicago, which I know a lot of people want.
Right, that sounds nice. Well, thank you, Cameron, for giving us those great details.
Yes.
Breaking it down for us. Now we have this kicker that will make Cameron happy, an elephant. Because you like animals, right?
Oh, I love animals.
So an elephant, not Ellie the elephant, but an elephant at Missouri Zoo received a special Halloween-themed gift. This is Hugo, the elephant, enjoying some enrichment with a pumpkin. Hugo is at the Dickerson Park Zoo in Springfield, Missouri.
I was almost about to say, I've been to Springfield Zoo, and they don't have an elephant there, but that's Springfield, Missouri, not Springfield, Illinois. But that is, I love elephants. That is great. They're a top A-tier animal, close to S-tier animal, in my opinion. And honestly, I've seen a couple of these videos of these elephants just crushing pumpkins under their feet. And it's oddly satisfying because I cannot crush a pumpkin like that. You kind of forget how big and strong these animals. And these, I want one thing to say about elephants, and this has been said a couple of times, but apparently when elephants see us, a part of their brain activates that thinks we're cute.
Aww.
So they look at us little animals walking around on our 2 legs, looking all silly looking.
We're cute to them.
We're cute to the elephants.
How sweet is that?
It is really sweet.
Well, when we come back to Beyond the Headlines, we'll be live from outside the courthouse with Alex Berger. After 12 hours of deliberations, there is a verdict for the Sean Grayson trial. We'll let you know what the jury decided up next.
Welcome back. Another big local story of the day. A verdict has been reached in the Sean Grayson trial.
The jury deliberated for more than 12 hours, spanning across 2 days, before reaching a decision.
Our Alex Berger is right outside of the Peoria County Courthouse. Alex, what can you share?
Brianna, Cameron, good evening to you. Today, the jury finished up their deliberations. Total across 2 days, they deliberated for more than 12 hours, around 13 hours in fact, and found that Sean Grayson, the former Sangamon County Sheriff's deputy who shot and killed Sonia Massey in her home in July of last year, he was found guilty of second-degree murder. Now, he wasn't sentenced yet. That will be in January. January 29th is when he'll be sentenced. What I do want to talk about is the press conference that happened just after he was found guilty. It happened here on the corner of Jefferson and Main, which we are just mere steps from. It involved Sonia's family. It had attorney Antonio Radamucci in it as well, who represented the family as well. Things that were shared by the family include that they were not happy with today's ruling. The attorney was pleased that he was found guilty at all, but the family wanted that first-degree murder charge, and they did not get that. He was found not guilty of first-degree murder, but he was found guilty of the second-degree murder. A lot of questions were asked by the jury, mainly, you know, just all legal questions. They wanted to see more exhibits. They wanted to see Grayson's prior training. They wanted to see all the exhibits they could to be able to form what they believed the verdict was. We were waiting for a really long time, and there was a lot of media outlets out here as well. And it was a very emotionally charged press conference as well. It only lasted, about 20 or so minutes, 20, 25 minutes. And it really, you could really see the visible upsetness on the Massey family's face, even with Grayson being charged. truthfully, to their words, it doesn't bring their daughter, their sister back. And that was really what her father, James Wilburn, said is his joy after today is that he's confident he will once again see his daughter again in the afterlife. Her mother, Donna Massey, saying she does not blame their lawyers for the second-degree murder charge instead of the first-degree, saying that their lawyers worked very hard on this, thanking the lawyers, thanking those who came out to support and rally for justice for Sonia Massey. They could be seen behind the family during this press conference. The ralliers have left now. They took their signs, they left, but they were behind during the press conference, and things are pretty much just wrapping up here in Peoria. The sentencing in January will be in Sangamon County, so it will not be here. And I am told there will be another rally, more rallies in Sangamon County. So that is all that will be held here in Peoria. The rest will be, again, held in Sangamon County. And that's all I have on this. But Grayson was found guilty of second-degree murder. Back to you, Brianna and Cameron.
Thank you, Alex. You've really broken this down, and appreciate you being able to come every day to be able to cover this trial. I know this is affecting a lot of people. Well, we actually have another story here. We'll check this out. An impressive Halloween setup at a house in Wisconsin. Take a look at this pirate ship on the high seas of West Bend, Wisconsin. The family that created the ship say they are huge Halloween fans. One of the coolest features is the ship opens up and below deck is actually in their garage, which still looks like a ship's hull. Now that's pretty impressive.
Right. No matter the holiday, people that go all out like that, I admire their dedication.
I know, right? I'm so surprised because I barely have the spare time to do anything of that.
Can't even figure out a costume, you know?
Yeah, you know what? I'm like last second, like on Spirit Halloween, like, oh yeah, I guess I'll be a zookeeper. You know, it's like, you know, these people built an entire ship. Look at that. That's like a whole animated skeleton coming at you from a TV, like augmented reality.
Pure dedication. I wonder what their light bill is like. You know,
that'd be pretty expensive.
And then if they go all out like this for Christmas as well on the outside, like, oh my goodness.
Oh my gosh, it would be very, very expensive.
All right, well, we got one more local story for you when we return to Beyond the Headlines. When we come back, Cameron is going back in the hot seat, this time discussing funding for Illinois educators. We'll have those details next. Welcome back to Beyond the Headlines. Our final story of the day puts Cameron back in the hot seat. I'm sorry. Peoria Public Schools are getting some funding, but some educators are saying it's still not enough. So Cameron, where is this funding coming from?
So basically, under the evidence-based funding model. So what is that? So it's a funding model that was passed by the Illinois General Assembly a few years ago that would basically fund public schools, prioritizing. There's obviously a bunch of indicators of who deserves more funding, but usually it's the low-income schools that get focused for funding. That's the entire model. And an Advanced Illinois report says evidence-based funding has been a relatively successful program. Now, Advanced Illinois, they're kind of an advocacy think tanky group. They're very independent though, and so they don't really have a horse in the race, let's say.
Okay.
But one thing they did say when I talked to them, Peoria Public Schools will see an increase in funding from 65% to 82.5% adequate funding. So, but the magic number is 90% adequate funding.
Okay.
And so still missing the mark there. And the big thing that Advanced Illinois is saying is there is basically a $2.5 billion funding gap from the state government. And so right now, a bunch of educators and advocates who are all invested in public education in Illinois went to Springfield to say, hey, we want $2.5 billion.
Okay. Now, so they're saying it's not enough. Is it like not enough because salaries are being cut or they need to supplement some more salaries? Like, what's going on? Why is it enough?
It looks different at every school district, and we talked to the Peoria, the PFT president here in Peoria, and she said that it could look like increased class sizes, more teachers having less programs for special ed kids. You know, there's a whole bunch of things. It's not like, oh, we no longer have math or English class. That's just not a thing.
Right.
But it does mean there's just more stress and strain on the system, more people overworking, more people having to put out more because of, you know, they just have less money. And when I talked to Mick Willis, who is the CFO for Peoria Public Schools, he said, you know, we're kind of used to working under budget and underfunded.
Okay.
But they would greatly appreciate actually receiving that more funding. So that's kind of where they're at. And, you know, they just really want that extra $2.5 billion.
And could you expound a little bit on what happened in Springfield at the rally today?
So basically, they came there to ask for the $2.5 billion and basically said that they're, you know, Pritzker's withholding it, that he needs to give them money. And look, look how they are. They're a group that is obviously advocating for public education. They want more money for public education.
Okay.
You know, they're lobbying for more money. This was a very tight budget year for the state of Illinois, and we mentioned quite earlier in the broadcast today. And I think what has happened is maybe some programs haven't been fully funded. You know, for example, colleges get it the worst. They're 48th ranked in the state when it comes to funding. So, or in the country, they're 48th state in funding.
Wow.
So they just want $2.5 billion.
Okay, so Pritzker's been in the hot seat. He announced some good money coming yesterday, shot down a bill today, and then the teachers were asking him for more money.
Yep, it's always a day in Springfield.
Now, before we go, Hong Kong displaying a few cartoon characters for a fun pop culture festival for all ages. Floating off Tamar Park on Hong Kong Island, the colorful quartet stand out against Hong Kong's iconic skyline, drawing hundreds of onlookers eager to snap selfies with their favorite cartoon icons. You can see the Grimace from McDonald's and Elmo from Sesame Street. And of course, there is also a Labubu.
Of course, there's always a Labubu.
Why wouldn't there be a Labubu? This time it's trendy. Let's see how long they last.
Yeah, look, I wonder if you could have like a bow and arrow and you could just
Why
shoot
would you
from
want
across.
to see that scary looking thing?
Yeah, I don't like it. I would, as I was saying, I would bring a bow and arrow and I would just start popping some of these that I don't like, and
I
then they're
don't
like,
think that needs to be
the
enlarged.
Labubu's sinking. What do we do? All right, well, that's all we have for today. Thanks for joining us for today's Beyond the Headlines.
You can find all these stories and more over on our website, ciproud.com.
For breaking news and weather updates 24/7, log on to ciproud.com and download the free CI Proud to Go mobile app.